Hey, what's up you guys, it's me Luke and welcome back to another video, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I post commentary and critique and reaction videos on basically anything on the internet that interests me, ranging from pop culture to internet culture and anything in between. So if any of that interests you, then be sure to go ahead and subscribe and turn on the post notifications bell so that you never miss another upload from me. Alrighty guys, in today's video we're going to be doing another installment of my reacting to your unpopular opinions, which is basically a series on my channel where you guys submit your unpopular opinions and I react and respond to them. It's really great and it gives you guys a voice and lets you speak your opinion. And I'm all about being opinionated. I even have opinionated merch, link down below. If you're all about being opinionated like me, that's great because I found a way for you guys to earn cash and gift cards just by sharing your opinion. And that's through YouGov, the sponsor of today's video. So with YouGov, you can take online surveys to earn points and gain cash rewards. YouGov has polls and surveys about politics, public affairs, products, and brands. For example, right now they have surveys about unemployment, climate change, and social justice issues. It's free to join, and for members you'll earn points by completing short surveys and answering questions via their website or app. You'll earn bonus points for completing your first survey, and you'll also be rewarded for recommending YouGov to family and friends. I use the extra money I make on there to fund my caffeine addiction and all the times that I go out to cafes. And if you guys want to go ahead and earn money as well for sharing your opinion, then go ahead and click the link in my description to start making your money. Thank you so much to YouGov for sponsoring today's video, and let's get into it because I'm about to dive in to your unpopular opinions. Let's get it. So first off, we'll start off with the unpopular opinions from my Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, please go ahead and do so. It's just at the Luke Alexander. The first one is, I don't feel bad for Meghan Markle and Harry. They still have money. Yes, they do still have money, but I think that they've been through a lot having to remove themselves from the royal family and the racism that was put against them and towards their son Archie, and Meghan Markle not being allowed to have treatment for her mental health. I think they've been through a lot, and I think regardless of the fact that they have money, you could still feel bad for them. So I personally do feel bad for them, even though they're loaded. Next one is, Meghan Markle is just as problematic as the royals. I don't get the Meghan Markle hate. I saw a lot of hate about Meghan Markle. Can someone please tell me what she's done wrong? Because I don't feel like she's done anything wrong. So I'm gonna have to disagree with this one. The royals are shady. There's something going on there. I don't trust it. I don't trust Philip. That guy is deathly looking. He is scary. But then also the queen looks amazing for her age. Something is in the water that they're drinking. He's drinking a different water than she's drinking. He's drinking water that's like aging him like cheese, and she's drinking water that's aging like fine wine. But something's going on there, something fishy. Next up is, I hate Ariana Grande's new album. It's boring and shallow and was a huge disappointment. Even though I respect your opinion, I personally have to disagree. I love Ariana Grande's new album. It's not my favorite album from her. I think my favorite album from her is Thank You Next, but I definitely love Positions. I think it's a great album, and I think the songs on there slap. There's no skips on that album for me, except for Shut Up. I do skip Shut Up, but everything else on the album, perfection. Next up is, Harry Styles is not the gender bending icon that everyone thinks he is. I wouldn't go as far as to say he's a gender bender icon, but I do think that he challenges toxic masculinity, and not toxic masculinity, just masculinity in general, by the things that he wears and the things that he says and just his presence as it is. And I do appreciate that, because as many men that can venture outside of the realms of masculinity as possible, I think is great. Men embracing their femininity is great, and I think that Harry is a role model and icon for doing that. So I have to disagree with this one. This next one as well I have to disagree with. It says, Harry Styles is a straight cis male that plays into gender bending persona for the aesthetic. First of all, he's not straight. He hasn't specified what his sexuality is, but he is basically fluid from what we've gathered. He just says he won't put a label on his sexuality. And I don't think he does it for the aesthetic. I think he does it because he's truly expressing himself, and I appreciate that. I'm sorry, I'm a Harry Styles fan. Can you tell? Next up is, The Weeknd should have been nominated for at least one category. I feel like it's always the same people winning the Grammys. I saw a lot of unpopular opinions about The Weeknd deserving a Grammy, and I don't think that's unpopular at all. I think The Weeknd had an amazing album with After Hours, and I do think he deserved at least one Grammy. Which Grammy, I'm not sure, because I am pretty happy with the Grammy winners as it was. I do think that there are a couple people that were snobbed, including The Weeknd though. Next one is, sex work is not empowering because it still objectifies and commodifies us. I think it is empowering because I think it's taking back your body and using your body to make money, which is fine because it's your body and you should have your choice to do whatever you want with your body. And I think that women taking back the objectification they get from men and actually profiting off of it and making money from it is a bad bitch thing to do. So I disagree with this one. Next one is, sex workers should be respected, but I feel like TikTok has glamorized the job so much. I think I've spoken about this before, but yeah, I definitely think that that there's a lot to sex work that people don't talk about on TikTok. They make it seem like it's just a way to earn a quick buck when there's a lot that goes into it, a lot that you sacrifice, and it's not that easy. So I definitely think that there's a lot more to it than people make it seem on TikTok. Next one is being vegan is not a personality trait. I definitely agree with this one. I think that being vegan is a lifestyle and it can be a huge part of who you are, but it shouldn't be everything that you are and a huge personality trait. Literally, it's a personality trait in The Sims though, so maybe it is a personality trait in life. Who knows, but I do agree with this one. In The Vampire Diaries, Elena gets bashed too much. She's not actually that unlikable. I do agree. I feel like Elena gets bashed way too much on TikTok for being in The Vampire Diaries, when I think Elena is a great character. She does get annoying sometimes, like when she turns off her humanity. Ugh. But yeah, I have a whole video about ranking The Vampire Diaries, so if you're more curious about my thoughts on that, then check out that video. This is also about The Vampire Diaries. It says neither Damon or Stefan is actually that hot. I disagree. I think they are both smoke shows. I think they're both fine as fuck. Next one is Billie Eilish needs to change her music and aesthetic a little because she's going to become irrelevant. This one I disagree with because I feel like Billie Eilish is very relevant at the moment, and she just did change up her aesthetic. She changed her hair and she got millions and millions of likes. I think she has like one of the most liked photos on Instagram, or one of the photos to get the most likes in the 24 hours. I don't know, something crazy like that. But she's popping off right now and she hasn't even been releasing new music. I think she's a far cry away from being irrelevant. So I disagree with this one. Next one is I feel like having lots of friends is overrated. I'd rather have a few genuine connections. I definitely agree with this one. I don't have like a crap ton of friends. I more so focus on having one-on-one genuine connections, and I feel like it's more rewarding that way. Having too much friends seems exhausting. Next one is soulmates aren't real, neither is love at first sight. I agree with this one because I think that there are like over 7 billion people on the planet, so how could there be one person out there that's your soulmate, and what are the odds of you meeting them? So I definitely agree with this one. Next one is people who identify as gay shouldn't have to come out. People shouldn't just assume you're straight. I agree with that one. I think it's kind of ridiculous that people who aren't straight have to come out. I think why can't it just be you are who you are and it doesn't really matter. I think one day we'll eventually get to that point, and I'm hoping that it's going to be more socially acceptable to just be who you are without needing to put a label on yourself or to come out. Next one is women can be tomboys and not get judged because masculinity is preferred, which is why men can't be femme without judgment. It's misogyny, not toxic masculinity. This one's interesting because I feel like a lot of the times when men are more feminine and people have issue with it, we're all like, oh, it's toxic masculinity. But what if it's actually misogyny because they're being feminine, which is associated with being a woman, and people don't like that, therefore they're being misogynistic? Who knows? Maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe it's a bit of toxic masculinity mixed with a little bit of misogyny mixed together to create a melting pot of nonsense. Next one is people really are capable of change and growth. I think this is true. I think people are capable of change and growth as long as you give them the room and the time to show that. And I think that actions speak louder than words. I think a lot of the time people don't give people room to change and grow and accept the fact that people can change and grow from the things that they said a decade ago. Next one is I still don't like Trisha Paytas and I don't understand why everyone is all of a sudden up her ass. That is very true. A lot of people love Trisha Paytas at the moment, and I feel like we're forgetting all the problematic things that she's done. I think it's challenging because she does have mental health issues that affect these things. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but it's an explanation for why she does and says the things she does and says. I think she was very confused in the past, but yeah, that doesn't take away from the fact that she's hurt a lot of communities like the trans community and the DID community and just POC in general. So yeah, I do think that this is interesting. Interesting that people are so obsessed with her all of a sudden. Anyway, men need to stop saying not all men are, because we obviously know that not all men do that, but we don't know which one would or wouldn't, so therefore we have to be wary of everyone. I definitely agree with this one. There's this whole movement coming up of a lot of women that are angry, you know, because of the way that they're being treated by men. I mean, it's been going on for ages, and now there's the other movement that's like the whole not all men thing. What people don't realize is, yes, maybe not all men assault women, but women don't know which men would do it, so they have to be cautious of all of them, and that's the issue in of it itself, is that women have to be cautious of all men. So yes, it is all men. Even if you don't think that it's you, they don't know it's not you, so they have to be wary of everyone. It sucks. Being a woman in today's climate is horrible. Next one is David saying he distanced himself from Dom because of certain accusations is total hypocrisy. He was pushing this behavior from Dom because he wanted content. The Vlog Squad aren't his friends, they're his employees. The Vlog Squad speak about how they all play these characters, and that's the character that Dom played. And David tried to initiate several instances where Dom was sleeping with girls, allegedly. And I think that he has to take responsibility for that, and he sorted it in his apology. I don't know. You can tell me what you think about his apology in the comments below. But I definitely agree with the fact that David did egg Dom on in situations like this because he promoted his character by putting him in the vlogs and making him do these bits. So yeah, I agree with that one. And they are his employees, essentially. I don't get the hype with TikTok dancers, never have. I don't see how sexually rolling your hips and moving your arms around like a cheerleader is dancing, and not sure why it's so damn popular. I find it very cringe. Me too. A lot of the times I'm just like, people are like, yes, queen, eat it up. Look how you ate that. Oh yeah. And I'm just like, they literally just flailed their body for 30 seconds. Like, is it really dancing? I don't know, you tell me. Oh, did I mention, by the way, that we're on the tweets now? So if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's just Luke the Lunatic. Next one is Oprah is the worst, super judgmental and two-faced. I don't really agree with this one. I mean, I saw a little bit of Oprah hate in the opinions, and I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe I don't know something, maybe I'm misinformed. But tell me in the comments down below if Oprah's done anything wrong. I thought she was a good woman. Next one is, I think that holding celebrities/influencers accountable is very pointless. In our society, money and fame allows you to evade from the laws. That's why James Charles isn't in jail for his recent actions. Holding them accountable just seems so pointless because none of them will ever change. Plus, none of them are really being held accountable when it comes to the law. It's all just a bunch of fun scandals everyone talks about for the joy of gossiping. Sadly, I agree with this one. I think a lot of these people who have power, fame, and money will evade the law because that's the nature of their job, and I think it's horrible. And I do think that unfortunately it just resorts to being internet gossip. And when we speak about it, you know, we're speaking about it because we're like, drama channels are like reporters. We report the news. So I don't necessarily want to say that we're gossiping. I think we're just trying to like inform people and like try our best to hold these people accountable. But at the end of the day, they evade the law because of the nature of their job when they have all this money and fame and privilege as a white man like James Charles. But unfortunately, nothing that us common folk can do about it. Next one is ASMR is kind of weird and isn't relaxing at all. It kind of creeps me out. I definitely agree with this one. I personally am not a fan of ASMR. That's just my personal preference. Next up, onto the YouTube community tab. And if you want to be a part of that, just have the post notifications bell on and you'll never miss my community posts. So next one is paparazzi shouldn't be a legal job, especially with underage people. It's literally normalized stalking. Haven't we learned our lesson with Princess Diana or Britney Spears? I agree with this one. I think paparazzi are scam. I think it's gross. I don't think it should be allowed. And I think it is, yeah, it legalizes stalking, and I think it's wrong. Next one is girls get hated on for basic things, but guys can be basic, but no one cares. This one is so interesting because there were a lot of people talking about how girls can't get away with liking basic things and how girls get attacked for liking basic things. But this one pointed out that guys don't. Guys can like sports and can like video games and like basic guy things and dress like basic guys, and they don't get hate for it. So I think that's all rooted in misogyny, if you ask me. Next one is being sustainable as far as like clothing is a privilege, and we should stop shaming people who can't afford it. That's true. Shopping sustainably is not cheap, and I don't think we should shame people who can't shop sustainably. I agree with this one. Next one is stan culture is toxic, problematic, and overall cultish. It literally means stalker fan. Can we not obsessively worship celebs and threaten people over them? I agree with this. Stans are too hectic. I've made a whole video about stan and cancel culture, so if you want to check out that video, I'll link it down below. I summarize my thoughts a lot better there. People always ask me to make a video about stan culture, but I've already made one. So check it out if you're interested. Next one is sexuality should not be based on how you look, talk, or act. There is no reason at all for people to be assuming others' sexuality, especially when they're unlabeled or have already labeled themselves. One example would be how people treat Shawn Mendes. He said he was straight many times and people keep calling him a bottom, and they call him homophobic for addressing the rumors. I don't blame him though. When people are pushing sexuality down your throat, it gets frustrating. I do agree with this one. I mean, with the Shawn Mendes situation, I think it's ridiculous. Like, just because he's a little more soft-spoken or whatever doesn't mean that he's gay. And I think people often play into stereotypes, and that's the problem, is people think that stereotypes are always true, and that's not always the case. And I think that what did thought do? You know what I mean? Assuming things and assumptions are very dangerous things, so people should be careful with what they assume. Next one is we need to normalize not wanting to drink alcohol as a choice. People only understand drinking if you're religious. People only understand not drinking if you're religious or addicted to it. I'm sick of people acting like it's impossible, that I don't like the taste and or feeling of alcohol. Stop asking me 12 times if I want to drink. Let's normalize being sober as a preference. I do agree with this one. I don't think everybody has to drink. I don't think drinking should be as normalized as it is. I mean, drinking is literally a form of a drug, so I think we should be a lot more careful with it in and of itself, and I don't think you had to have suffered from addictions to want to be able to not drink. Heck, I took a break from drinking last year for like 2 months just because, you know what I mean? I just wanted to have some clarity. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I think people should not pressure people into drinking. Next one is the reason that people like David and James get seemingly little to no repercussions for their predatory and abusive actions towards men is not only because of their cult-like fan bases, it's because as a society we don't care about male victims. I agree with this one. I think that people don't think that males can be victims of SA, and as a victim of SA myself, who is a male, it happens to us, and it's a real thing that should be addressed and treated with the same level of respect as women who have been SA'd. I just think because it doesn't happen as often, or at least it doesn't come to light as often, because men usually feel ashamed and demasculated and all that stuff. But no, male victims are just as important as female victims. Next one is there are huge inconsistencies with the ways that we act online and behave in real life, especially when it comes to activism. It's way easier to call out strangers on the internet rather than calling out something low-key problematic to a friend that you said one time. I think it's probably because when it happens, you might be scared to be labeled as overly sensitive who can't take a joke. But in the end, it's casual situations like these that are actually going to make a difference. I definitely agree with this one. I think acting online all tough and mighty and being like, oh no, you can't say that, and being like having performative activism but then not actually doing it in real life is BS. And I personally am not one of those people. Like, I had friends once who were like using the N-word and using homophobic slurs, and I called them out on their BS. And if they continue to do that, I stopped being friends with them. I think the same energy that you bring online to people is the same energy that you need to bring in real life, but people are often a lot more confident when they're in front of a keyboard. Next one is normalizing plastic surgery just doesn't sit right with me. It can cause health problems and addiction and creates extremely unrealistic beauty standards. I do and don't agree with this one. I think that, you know, it does create unrealistic beauty standards, but as long as people are open with the fact that they've had plastic surgery and don't lie about it, I'm okay with it, because if you want to change something and you have money to change it and you think it's going to make you happy, then by all means, your body, your choice, do whatever you want. I'm very much pro-choice when it comes to people's bodies. Next one is I don't blame TikTokers for wanting to be singers or actors. They just want to continue their career in that area because they know TikTok is not going to work forever. I agree with this one. I just think that a lot of them aren't talented, but that's not going to stop them. I just think that there are way more talented people out there who are better at acting and singing, but because these TikTokers already have fame behind them, they're going to get the clout. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I hate when people say everything happens for a reason. I question that to myself a lot. I personally don't think everything happens for a reason. Me neither. Honestly, I don't think everything happens for a reason. I think things just happen. And there's consequences, and there's repercussions, and there's an ebb and flow, and there's a butterfly effect from things that happen. There's cause and effect. I don't think that everything happens for a reason and is like set in stone, you know what I mean? That's why I struggle with religion when people are like, God has a plan. Because like, I don't think that. I just think you make choices, and choices affect your life, and the choices that you make will determine where your life goes. Cancel culture often does the opposite of what it's intended to do. The best way to actually rid someone of their platform is to not give them attention. But cancel culture puts influencers and celebs who've done things worthy of being cancelled in the spotlight and just gives them a larger platform. I definitely agree with this one, but it's easier said than done to just ignore someone when they've done something wrong. Accountability is important, and I think that's why we talk about it, because they need to be held accountable. And if you create a ruckus, then things will happen. I mean, look at David Dobrik. People have been holding him accountable, and now he's losing sponsorships. So clearly cancel culture does work, or accountability culture, whatever you want to call it. But then for some reason, with some people like James Charles, it just doesn't. I think it depends on the audience, like how young the audience is, because the younger the audience is, the less that they care. Next one is everyone is a mental health advocate until it gets really ugly. Brackets, Trisha Paytas, for example, especially her storm out on frenemies. I definitely agree with this one, but I think it's hard because you can't use your mental health as an excuse for your shitty behavior. I think it can be an explanation, and I think people need to be understanding of that. But a lot of times people can't grasp or wrap their head around a certain mental health struggle because they don't experience it themselves. And that's also valid. Next one is Cardi B is not as talented as people claim, nor does she deserve the hype that she gets. Plus, she should be held accountable for the drugging men situation. If it had been a man who drugged women, the media would be dragging him. Yeah, I definitely agree with this one. I'm still not over that incident with Cardi B. And also, I just don't think she's that talented. I said it. Being politically conservative does not make you a bad person. Yes and no, I think it does make you a bad person if your beliefs go against the human rights of another person. Next one is people need to stop bringing up other issues like BLM when speaking about another issue happening. This isn't the oppression Olympics, it's really disrespectful. Yeah, I think two things can both be horrible in their own right, and we don't need to compare them to one another. Like the Asian hate and the BLM movement are two separate issues, and I don't think we need to compare them and be like one's worse than the other. Let's just accept them both in their own right and accept that they're both horrible injustices that need to be dealt with. They don't need to be like, oh no, one's worse than the other. It's not the oppression Olympics. Next one is, I don't think celebrities or influencers have the obligation to speak on real issues like BLM, etc. They have the right to remain silent, and they also have the right to speak up. But people pressuring them to have opinion just pressures them to pick the most popular opinion so they don't lose fans. I think we should let everyone form and speak their opinions in their own time, and if they even want to. I struggle with this one because I feel like if you have a platform, you should use it for social justice and social good. If you're a celebrity, you most likely have POC fans, and how are you not going to stick up for them when they're the ones who literally put the food in your mouth and pay your mortgage? Like, I'm struggling to understand that. Next one is, social media and pop culture in general is driven by misogyny, mostly by the female fans. I feel like this is especially prevalent with musicians. Male singers can be generally attractive and have a decent voice, but do not do anything to really set themselves apart, and their fans will forgive that. But female artists are expected to constantly innovate and prove their talent, otherwise it becomes about them not deserving their success. I totally agree with this one. I feel like female artists constantly have to reinvent themselves in order to stay relevant, whereas male artists can do the bare minimum and they continuously stay famous. It's so obvious. I mean, look at people like Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift and Halsey, who are constantly reinventing themselves just to stay relevant. And then you have people like Justin Bieber and Shawn Mendes, who just kind of like stand there and sing and kind of do the bare minimum and don't really change and evolve. And they're equally as famous as those female artists. So I definitely agree with this one. I think that when it comes to women and men in the media, I think that women are held to a higher standard in both social media and pop culture. And then the final one is about TikTok. It says TikTok has many beneficial aspects that are completely overlooked. The sense of community and belonging within, for example, the gay TikTok community is outstanding. There are real psychological benefits regarding identity, self-exploration, discovery, identification, and acceptance. TikTok has major benefits, but mainstream media only seem to focus on the toxic side, which in its essence is only part of it. People only see the stupid dance trends and problematic people. I think there's good and bad to both sides of social media, and I personally made a video about both sides. I made a video about the good things about TikTok and the bad things about TikTok, but then look at the views on both of them. Which one got more views? Me talking about the toxic side of TikTok. People just focus more on talking about toxicity and negativity than they do about positivity, and unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Alrighty guys, that's it for me in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below your thoughts on any of these opinions that I discussed. And if you'd like to follow me on my social media, it's all linked down below, as well as a link to my second channel, my merch, my podcast, and my Cameo. And yeah guys, that's it for me in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you in my next one, and as always, I hope that you have a great day or night wherever you are in the world. Bye!